Hey, what's up, Tony Wrenches family? It's the tech that is on. Let me hear it. On your side. I'm installing a used engine on a 2003 Ford Explorer. Yeah, 4.0 liter. And I want you to walk with me on this and kind of explain to you what I'm looking for and just how I examine this used engine. So I've already taken a couple things apart on this. I've taken off the plenum, injectors, spark plugs. I was starting to take the flywheel off, but my snap-on socket decided to go out the back door. So I stopped there. I can't go any further without that inverted torque socket. The reason I'm taking off this flywheel is because I want to put the original flywheel from the other engine. When I install a used engine, I try to use almost all the parts of the original engine. For example, these Fords, and I'm not completely sure, but I know that I have dealt with Fords many times, and sometimes they'll have 2 or 3 different type of injectors for their engine. So to avoid any confusion, any headaches in diagnosing, I am going to install the original injectors from the original engine, the plenum. But as I'm walking around, I'm looking for any obvious water leaks or coolant leaks, oil leaks, looking at the exhaust manifold to see if they're not cracked or any broken studs on the exhaust manifolds. And since the person who took this apart, usually wreckers, when they take something apart, they cut everything out of the way just so they can pull the part out. So I have to make sure that there's no bolt holes that are stripped in any way. They even took off the motor mounts off this one, so I had to reuse those. But as I look at the exhaust manifold, I don't see any broken studs. Manifolds aren't cracked. I'm also looking at the studs, that they're not crushed, the threads when they were removing. I'm also looking at if the water pump isn't leaking in any way, and it's not. That pulley makes a lot of noise. Not sure if I'm gonna replace it yet because it really depends on the customer. That one makes some noise too. Just be a good idea to even clean the pulley. You see the roughness on this water pump pulley? I'll probably unbolt that and take it to my clean wheel and just clean that up. Take away any belt chirp noises in the future. Now I would probably replace this water pump. I would if this whole pipe was corroded, and it's not. It's just corroded from here down. I can push a hose up here in the hose clamp and it'll work just fine. So I'm gonna leave that water pump as be. This will receive some new ignition wires, new spark plugs, obviously an oil change is going to occur. Now, some of the areas that are problematic on this engine is this thermostat housing has a tendency of becoming brittle, cracks, and it leaks and you have to replace it. So these are the things I'm gonna take care of now. I've unbolted it, kind of looked at it, and I don't see any brittleness, or weakness around the plastic, so it's gonna get a new O-ring. It also received a new thermostat with gasket. The reason this is covered up is because I don't want anything to fall inside any of these ports, and I use tissue paper because if I, for whatever reason, I forget that it's in there, it'll disintegrate and won't cause any internal damage to the engine. Now the guy who removed this engine, the wrecker, he cut off the knock sensor connector. So I'm gonna replace that sensor. I thought about reusing the old one, but I'm not going to go through all that trouble. This is the new one. And what happens is, just with any sensor, and particularly this knock sensor, where it's located in its environment, they usually begin to become weak. You got to make sure when you replace a knock sensor that you torque it to the proper spec as well. And right now everything is so easy to do because the engine's out. I'm just going to replace that knock sensor so that I don't have any issues with the check engine light. And you can only imagine when this engine is in the car how much more trouble does it take that intake off and to do that sensor. I'm not doing that. It's going to get new valve cover gaskets as well because you can see where it's been leaking at. These are some of the things to do while it's out. So that's what I'm doing here today. I hope your day is as exciting as mine. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to subscribe.